Are we sure this time? Okay. Um, I'm gonna tell you super quick, and then I'm gonna go. There was something going on when I was asleep, and it felt like there was two people by my side on the bed, like on the left and right side. Sorry, I'm like looking over there to make sure they're not screwing up the stream. There were two people on either side and one at the foot of the bed. And I fell asleep, but I was having a out of body experience where I was watching, and then it was like a stage being removed, like wrapped up like a carpet, and then another one being rolled in. It was so weird. And then I was looking around in this out of body state, and I noticed this like thread going through the world, and I followed it back, and then I'm just gonna like skip to the point, okay? Because it was about 4 hours of this. I saw Gaia, like the planet itself, chunks of it, blah blah blah. And then it was like time rewound. And then I saw Gaia, but it was a person, and then all the planets, but they were people. And then Gaia was young and had a father or something like that. And then someone castrated the father, like they were like they moved really quick, and then they went like the old man's penis was cut off or something, like something in that area was cut off, and it fell into like water, but a clam caught it. And then there was a woman with like gorgeous chocolate skin, like she was beautiful. And like I saw her and she was looking at me, but she was looking at something else, like in my direction. It was like I was watching a movie happen. And then I was like she pointed at something inside the shell. And then I saw from inside the shell open, and then there were all these people fighting and like accusing the person that was being depicted as Gaia, the planet. And then there was a big sense of like fighting and war and everything else. And then from the seashell, it looked like that energy got yanked out of all of it. Like the entire energy of war was just like removed. And then that moment stopped, and then it went like if I'm watching a movie like this, it went like this and then up. And then I was shown a portal in like cosmic space, like space and nebulas and stuff, but a little portal. I'm seeing it now as the crack in the Milky Way galaxy, a little doorway on top of it. And there were three people there. And Gaia, before she was like, she's shown to me as a planet, she's shown to me floating back up and then that way. And she's standing at the door, at the gate, at the door thing up there. And then there's three people, and they're behind her, and she's like the fourth person, kind of looking, and she's like looking down like this, and then suddenly goes like this, and gets pushed. And as she's falling, she's like turning around and falling. And the more she's doing that, like the video that I'm seeing is going forward, and it's like reality spins around her, and then she's like encasing herself to find balance so she can land. But the weird thing is, the more she's falling, the more it's like stuff's being created in that empty space. And then these three are behind her, like continuously pushing her. And then that story fast forwards back to Gaia, and then the clamshell with the Venus clamshell. I don't know what to call it. Like I thought I saw the history of the family of gods. That's what it feels like. it fast forwards to that part, and then someone, like before the castration thing, before the Gaia being sad, and then like Gaia's partner being ripped away from her, and like there was so much weird stuff. It was like a soap opera. Before all of that, there was somebody way in the corner that pointed the finger at Gaia, and then everybody like turned around at her and looked at her. It was so weird. And then she ran to her grandfather, who I'm seeing as Kronos, like Saturn. And then one of the other ones, it was like high school jocks, like ran by and like cut something off of his genital area. And then that, I'm seeing that story play out in a different angle, where it's going into the water and it's like made out of all that love and beauty and like war and all that stuff that was going on over there. And then it's like the clam takes it and turns it into a pearl. And then that swirly pearl is like absorbing all their bad stuff. And it's doing something weird. I'm uncertain how to explain this to you. I'm a little confused and frazzled because when I was having that out of body experience, I don't even know what the fuck to call it. It was so weird. It was like moving through a static field, but weird. And like really uncomfortably weird. Just not like anything I've experienced in a while. And the more I tried to move like at forward as myself, the more I was turning into these old gods, and I'm like seeing their stories like back and forth, and how there's an accusation, accusation, I think that's the word, where someone said something about Gaia, but it was almost immediately moved away from because something else came in play that made that irrelevant. And then if I had like I've asked them to show me what's going on after that. And the planet like Gaia just breaks apart. These same people that I'm seeing as like the high school jocks, they broke her apart, and then they keep pushing her into like darker spaces, because the more she keeps being thrown into like this void, the more creation keeps following behind her to catch her. It's so sad. It's so messed up. So I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know what any of this is. At first, it was like a cartoon, and I'm like, do I want to watch X-Men? What is this? And then it turned into this entire swirling galaxy, and the council of gods talking and like saying, oh, something's accused and there's judgment and blah blah blah. And it was like I was just kind of there, but then I was in this whole ocean of time. I'm like, nope, that's not it. And I was just looking around. What's really going on here? And it was so strange. It was so strange. At first, all of it felt like I was swimming to the depths of some fucking water world. And I got to a point where it was so dark, like there was nothing there. And I'm like, okay, which way now? And I saw this big white bird, and it was like, just keep going. I'm like, okay. And that's when the Gaia thing started, because that darkness, like, it popped something in my head. I felt like there was something in that empty bottom of the ocean where you can't see the bottom of the ocean. It's just all dark. It felt like there was something there, like a monster. But when I saw that white bird, I was like, wait, no, that's not right. And I felt the feeling of falling even more. And I'm like, okay. And then boom, it was like this movie of the story of Gaia and Tiamat. And then I was shown the word Tiamat as Ma'at, like the goddess Ma'at. I don't know. I'm still kind of weirded out at that Venus seashell, clamshell, whatever thing, and how when the clam opened, they were all like, whoop, la di da di da. It was so funny. It was so funny. Like, I really have no, genuinely, I know not. What I do know is that thread I was following out of this apartment, that I was like, wait, this thread is a thread of treachery. It's a thread of scapegoats. It's a thread of betrayal. Why is it here? And when I followed that back, that's when all this was like, oop. And before that, I was sitting, like lying in bed, sleeping. I was asleep. I went to bed at 7 p.m. and I was like, screw this, I'm out. Wait. Now I'm awake and I'm like wide awake. I don't know what to do with myself. Um, oh my God, those three beings. Those three beings. It was such an unpleasant feeling to feel them near my bed. It wasn't like being scared or think, bad people or anything like that. It was just, when you're around people who do really bad things. I don't know if you guys have people like that in your lives. Like there's some people in this building who done really bad things, real bad. And one of them once said to me, and I had no, like, there was nothing going on when he said it either, and this might be of relevance to you guys. You do what you do, I do what I do. Doesn't mean we have to do it to each other. And then he gave me like cookies and candy, like Kit Kat bars and stuff. It was like last year. And it's such a strange thing to do. And I had that same feeling. Like these people do weird things that I can't even imagine like somebody with any sort of intelligence doing anything like that. The other thing I was asked to share with you in a really annoying way, because they've started doing this thing where I get looped information, like the same thing over and over and over and over until I say it, like outside to people. Like, this is what I'm being asked to share with you. And then it's gone. So if you guys think I know anything about any of the videos I've posted, so sorry. Mm. Dang it, the movie again. What part of it now? Oh, right. God, their energy is so gross. I don't want to be around it. Um, it really feels like gross high school jocks. It really does. It's so gross. Like high school jocks that don't. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Um, I feel like I'm involved in something I have no idea about, but I feel like making these videos for you guys helps you guys with something. So someone said something, I remember a few days ago, might have been years ago, might have been in another lifetime, that in the story, Gaia is evil. I don't think people understand or comprehend that when there's a certain amount of power And I mean like the power of like gods, okay? Like God itself, the mother of God, the source of the creation, the Lord, which is the mother and all that, okay? I'm not talking about Yahweh and Yeshua and all that. They're lords in their own right. Absolutely. They're gods in their own right. But source is the great mother. There's a sense of there's a level, okay? Imagine it like a video game. Once you get to a certain power level, if you have intelligence, you can see this in primitive animals in the forest too, like a lion or a lioness. When you have certain amounts of power, you aren't corrupted by it. You know how they say absolute power corrupts? The reason why they say that is because they are keeping themselves at a certain level of power. Because if they break that threshold of power, then it's the strangest thing. Because every time I'm shown this and the way I'm asked to describe this to you, and I'm seeing a really tall African American but wearing Egyptian outfit, and then the other one is like bronze skinned. These two women, well, I swear one of them could be Isis. And they're showing me the yin yang, but the dark filling it, and then it explodes into light. And if the light fills it, it explodes into a different light. But if it's split and people are like, oh, it's evil and it has too much power, evil is a lack of intelligence. With all that power, I think it's like with power comes great responsibility, but there's something else that comes with it, common sense. It's very weird. I'm uncertain how to explain this, but it's like a power bar that goes up, and once it reaches a point, it's like a breaking point. If there's empathy, then that power becomes completely like the power of creation. Even evil itself becomes like the power of destruction to tear down a tree to create a bigger forest kind of thing. But lower level intelligence with evil and any sort of power is destructive in a violent and mean way, where it's cruel, and the intelligence understands that cruelty and then enjoys that cruelty. That's a low level of intelligence. A high level of intelligence looks at acts of evil and says that's pointless. It can be done with peace, it can be done with harmlessness. There's no need to cause harm. Only a lower level of intelligence causes harm. Which I think has to do with also that thing about Venus and war. Because to all of those people in that group that were fighting and accusing, and then suddenly they lose all that war energy, but they were all covered in peace afterwards. And then all that war energy went into the seashell. It was so strange. It was so strange. Like why didn't all of that destroy the person in the seashell, but it was destroying all these other gods? There were like 10 of them or 12 of them. And all of their anger went into that one person, and that one person was just sitting in that seashell, chilling out. But the rest of them couldn't handle it. Split between 12 of them. And when I was asking them, like, what is the point of all this? It's like empathy. And if you don't have empathy, think empathic thoughts and the heart will bloom. But then there's that threat of treachery, which is something completely different on the flip side of it. Because there's something else that's going on that I don't know what's going on with it. But these three women keep showing it to me, these three goddesses. I want to call them the fates, but I don't know what else to call them. Sorry. Um, they keep showing it as a threat of like the word scapegoat on it. And that thread gets woven around something when something else wants to control that something. And then the way I'm shown it is the thing that's controlling the thing wrapped in the scapegoat thread sends commands to the scapegoat thread, and then the scapegoat threaded beings do these weird things, and then they're judged by those actions as if they did them themselves. but really the person that made them do it is the one who is moving that thread. And then that person also had threads controlling them, but at a different layer, and then a different layer, and then a different layer. So when I was looking at all of this, I'm like, where does it all start? Like, where's the guilty parties, really? Like, where did this entire story start? Why are you showing me this? And then I like earlier, I went to sleep and I had that weird nap OBE thing, and I saw three beings pushing Sophia into a void and then jumping after her and like grabbing, pulling, taking. It was so weird. It was so disturbing. It was so disturbing. And then the word uh it was I'm a little dumbfounded by how I feel at hearing that word. Like my eyes popped open in bed and I was like, what the fuck? It was a phrase, something about Draco something. Draco something. And every time I try to look at that word, I keep seeing a dragon's face, but behind the dragon's face is a bearded man. And then it's just like a universe. I don't know. I think that's it. It's all like poofed out of my head now. Okay, finally. God. Oof. Bye. I'm gonna go. Um, I hope this helps. I don't know what this is like, what all this is yet. Me personally, as a person, I feel like I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, Girl Interrupted. I feel like I'm gonna leave in. I'm just a little, but I don't feel crazy. I feel like my brain is swimming in this weird fucking ocean. And I can just hear everything. And when I say hear it, some of you know I have synesthesia, which means I feel it, taste it, see it, feel it, all of it. But that's a lot of words to use to describe one thing. Oh, and I keep seeing Amazons and like characters that would fit in like Guardians of the Galaxy or um, I don't know, man. I swear it was like I turned into a rainbow earlier and I was like, whoop, nope. It was so strange. You know, when you look at a light bulb and then you close your eyes and you can see that light bulb image? I was looking at my hands and like blinking, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I was looking at, like, with my eyes closed at my hand, and it was like my fingers were all shooting out rainbows. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. It was so weird. It was so weird. Oh, that's the other thing. Thank you. God, it's been in the back of my head all fucking day. I keep seeing a bunch of people, and one of them's carrying a torch, and they're supposed to get out of this door. And they're all waiting in this dark room, like a whole bunch of people. And they're trying to get to the other side of the door, but the door is not, like, the door isn't being opened by anybody. Because it's like they're waiting for something. But everybody's rushing the person holding the torch to open the door. But there's something that's like in the background. And I keep seeing it as death itself. I know this sounds scary, but please just don't be scared. It's like death has to go first. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that is, but it's like the concept of it. But at the same time, when I'm seeing that story, there's a part of it that's like, if it goes, they're showing me like, if that goes, then people will have no fear of being absolutely horrid people. So there has to be a scale balancing of like really empathic people. But not everybody in that group is really empathic at all. So it's like, I'm seeing this from the way I'm being shown this is it's in a snow globe. And I'm seeing the snow globe like out here. Like I'm looking at it like that. And then it's this woman holding the snow globe to me. And she's like, look in there. And I'm like, okay, what about it? And they're just like, no, just look. I'm like, okay. And I'll tell them. Okay. Now what? That's it. I think that's it. Yep. Nope, wait. Something about a white feather. It's not about being as light as a feather. Now I'm seeing light shape into a feather, but it's still light. It's a feather-shaped light beam. Kind of like that. I've been seeing so much weird stuff, you guys. I'm literally looking at a table full of snow globes, and they all stopped. And that woman, it looks like Isis, Nefertiti. I mean, some Egyptian queen. There's so many of them. And then there's so many Amazons. And even I'm in a little snow globe. Like I'm seeing me in a snow globe, and they're looking at that snow globe, and I'm looking at them looking at the snow globe. And there's a big old dragon that's made out of stars. There's a face in the universe. And in that cut in the universe is like the other side of something else. It's so weird. I don't even know if it's seen as a cut in the universe. Maybe it's like a giant white streak from your perspective. But I think that's where the pleroma is. Or in that direction. Because I've seen something a lot where it's one of the snow globes moving towards like that light in this space, cosmic sky. And once it gets out of the snow globe, it's like the wound of Jesus Christ on his spear, on the spear wound, you know, by his ribs, by his and her ribs, by their ribs. Man, these things are so biblical that I'm seeing. I feel like I should be in costume and like surrounded by incense, sitting in the temple of Apollo or something. I don't even think I think it's that it's the year that I think it is. I just heard something was taken from Gaia and she's heartbroken. They lied to her. They tricked her. Another one is saying they used her. Dream thief. I was just shown a woman sleeping by a tree and someone walking up to her whispering in her ear and then walking away, and they think no one saw. I'm gonna go. I'm tapping into something really weird. Like I can feel trembling in the palm of my hand. I just heard sweetest of hearts. Shira. Shira. Syrup? Shira means syrup. But Shira is a cartoon. And she rode a Pegasus. Pegasus is attached to Medusa. It's really stupid. Why would Medusa turn into a fucking Pegasus after being raped and turned into a monster, and then she gets fucking beheaded and turned into a horse to be ridden by a man? What the fuck? Whoa. It's those same three fuckers. It's one of the three same people in that temple that knocked Medusa over. Ooh, oh, no, I don't want to see that. Oh, that poor woman. And they all stood there and watched. Oh my God. What a petty blessing and curse to have given that woman. Where's Medusa? Can we get justice for Medusa? Wow. The poor woman. And then her justice after dying is to be ridden by a man to save a woman. No. The guy that did that to her at the temple was in cahoots with another one of those female gods. They planned it. He was one of those three who pushed Sophia out. Did they burn Joan of Arc? I just saw someone take the heart of a knight being burned at the stake, and they were eating her heart. My God. I just saw a woman that looks like an Amazon fucking warrior with an ivory bow and a headdress of like golden eagle wings. And she's like aiming an arrow at the earth, but then like tilting it. It's like something right there. And I can't see it. I'm not being shown something. Even the space around me in this neighborhood, like it's contained, but then there's something outside of it. And it's just in not even a mile radius. It's like maybe 2 city blocks in all directions. Oh, what a weird fucking night. I'm gonna go. I've been holding, oh wow, my arm is like, Jesus Christ, 35 minutes we've been doing this. Mm. You know, that dang wheel. I keep seeing a wheel. And there's something that keeps trying to stop that wheel. And the wheel just keeps duplicating itself. And it's like, dum, 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 like layer and layer and layer and layer. Yep, that's it. It's so quiet now, finally. Good. I love you guys. Oh my God, those were a lot of movies. Those were a lot of movies I just saw. 36 minutes? Yeshua, you and I are going to have a long talk about how much time I've spent talking at this little, this thing that I can't even, at this thing. I want a pony. Like,